year's offer will be of keen interest to you. With this, I announce the official opening of your event and the Global Entrepreneurship Week North Macedonia 2021. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, that was the initial announcement. Do we have any more announcements, Igor, that we should do, or?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for actually joining this event organized with IT Labs and Startup Macedonia. My name is Igor Majo, founder and president of Startup Macedonia. It's our great pleasure of actually having this type of event in a hybrid form. All of those watching us online, it will be an amazing experience having two incredible speakers coming from the IT Labs crew, delivering their best know-how in the specific topics. We'll talk about teams, creating amazing teams, and also talking about agility and how in this specific world of COVID, will basically be ahead of our competition, be agile, and create products that make sense. So our first presenter is our dear friend and partner of Startup Macedonia, Blagoj Kjupev, the Chief Innovation Officer of IT Labs, with his session, and then followed with TC Gill. I amazingly think that he has the best name, TC, and also he is the CTO, but Chief Talking Officer of IT Labs, which means he'll bring us a lot of shedding a light on his world and how he's motivating the teams inside IT Labs and also the digitalization around the world. So, Blagoj, the floor is yours. Looking forward to your session, and we'll come back later with TC and some conversation about vision and other things.
Perfect. Let me maybe tweak a few things here, so people which are as an audience here can also see how they look like and which are the persons attending remotely. I hope everybody understands English, at least my English. It's I would say quite good, but yeah, someone may have some difficulties to understand what I'm saying. I would like to have this presentation more as a discussion, so feel free to interrupt me at any time if you want to get some more details, so maybe you want to contribute to what I'm trying to share here. Since today we will speak a little bit more about what does it mean to have a successful team setup and what are the basic principles that I have been using in my past experience. For the persons that do not know me, I'm pretty much almost 20 years in the IT industry. For the last 10 years, I'm assembling and leading different types of teams for different types of clients. And through the years, I have gained some unique experience that I'm willing to share with you today. I would be happy if at the end of my presentation, you will learn something new, or maybe you will get a little bit better understanding of what are the principles that I'm using. Feel free, as I said, to interrupt me or add anything just to make it more interactive and maybe open some things which are missing. So, what does it mean to have a team? Is it something which is happening out of nothing? Or is it a pure luck, meaning that how much luck is involved in having a success? I would say quite a lot, but I would like to see luck as coverage for the things which are not planned properly. If we are doing a proper planning and if we are taking care about most significant details, we will always have a nice team which will perform and reach the goals which are set from the very beginning. There are many different ways how you can set a good team. There are different ways how you can monitor, see, do adjustments in monitoring. But through the presentation slides, I'll try to go to the most obvious ones which I have been seeing in the past, and hopefully they will help you and guide you in setting up proper teams in the incoming periods. So, what is a winning team? We say we are good, we feel that we are great, we feel that we have done something significant. But one of the major questions that we should ask ourselves from the very beginning is, what is, let's say, a definition of a winning team? And yeah, different perceptions. Is it making money? Then we should also see and understand what is enough money and what is the goal when we are to say we made a lot of money, did we make any broad impact or not? Once again, when we are to ask something, we have to define goals, and they have to be well defined, so we understand that we are a successful team. So another approach could be, am I happy? Am I making someone happy? That is also something that we have to set and see if we achieve the requirements and if we have achieved the goals which are defined at the very beginning. In my view, or what I have seen through the different types of literatures and different types of presentations, it is a winning team is a team which is moving toward and achieving the defined goals or predefined goals. So at the end of the project or at the end of the activities, we have to have a kind of a checklist in which we will check what are the goals that were defined and which one of those are already achieved at the end of the project. And then we can say, yeah, guys, we are winning and we are a successful team. Without a well definition of the success criteria, we may always trick ourselves and think that, okay, we maybe haven't achieved everything. We achieved 20% of the set goals, and then we are good. No, guys, we are not good. We are good if we achieve the goals that we have predefined and we have set from the very beginning. And then at the end, when we achieve the goals, then we can say, yes, we are a successful team and we are a winning team, which brought some value into the world, made some money, or made us feel a little bit better at the end of everything. So before we start thinking about what does it mean to have a good team setup, we should think a little bit more about which things are influencing our decisions on making a proper team or influencing how will we assemble the good team. So one of the things is we have to understand in which phase is the idea or the project. If it is in ideation phase, then we need different type of people. If it is in execution phase, then we need another set of persons, meaning that depending on the phase in which the current idea or project development it is, we have to have the first team set. And then, of course, we have to plan all the team setups throughout the execution of the complete project, which means that throughout the whole project, there will be need for different types of persons. And that's something that have to be planned properly in advance. Budget and time, they are always kind of a contradict, meaning that as more money you have, maybe you can do some things faster and vice versa. If you have less money, then maybe you can do some things slower, but still you can achieve the goals which are preset at the very beginning. One of the nice quotes that I'm usually using when I'm doing planning is that some things cannot be done faster, meaning that one baby is carried at female for 9 months. 9 babies are once again usually carried in 9 mamas, 9 months. So meaning that some things cannot go faster, and this is something that usually developers are trying or struggling to say to the project managers, because sometimes the project manager would like to go faster, but some things take time, and therefore we cannot push things to go faster. Of course, it is quite important to understand that the team also or the project requires specific technology, meaning that the people among which are selected for the project execution should have specific technology knowledge, or maybe they have to carry with them some specific resources, meaning that maybe it is a startup which does not have sufficient amount of money, but if you need access to specific equipment, then maybe you can assign someone who has a home laboratory with all the tools which are needed. So not think as a people only as a persons, but think about them, what kind of resources they can bring with them and what kind of value they can bring within the project. So a little bit more about the planning activities. So as we think about the first 4 bullets or the first 4 things, the next steps are to let's see what are in more details ingredients or the steps required to have a great team which is executing the tasks as they are planned, or what are the things that have to be thought before you finally assemble a team. So once again, budget and time, this is something that has to be either predefined or at least set some expectations. What is the amount of money that you can secure? What kind of resources are needed? When I say resources, once again, it is types of persons, and also think about the complete project and think big, meaning that suddenly the project may evolve, you may get more investors, and then you might have a possibility to engage more resources. Then think big, meaning that when you're planning resources, do not restrain yourself only into the initially projected budgets and time, but have a plan B or have another set of requirements for resources that may add value into the team so you can faster or better achieve the goals that you have. Have extremely well defined goals, as I said previously. Being able to achieve something is that you have a goal and you have understanding where the things should move and how you should actually execute all the steps in order to achieve the final results. Have goals on the pathways, meaning that it is not always needed to have the final goal set, but define milestones, define toll gates, which will be later on used while you're doing assessment, how good you are doing and how well, you're following the things which were pre-planned or predefined at the very beginning. Find and identify the proper methodology in the project management. Sometimes waterfall is one of the best ways forward. Sometimes it is one of the agile models. Sometimes it is a combination. In my personal view, during the assessment and analysis phase, waterfall is much more usable because in those parts or in those phases of the projects, it is a little bit more difficult to define a backlog, and it is a little bit more difficult to define strict timelines, which are usually expected by the agile execution of the project. Define risks, but also don't forget about opportunities, meaning that whenever you have a possibility to engage better people or maybe engage more skilled engineers, see that as an opportunity. Define which are the potential risks among the team members, because sometimes you may feel that, okay, I will fill up this position because I don't have any other opportunity or any other possibility, but put that as a risk, meaning that this position is filled out of necessity, not out of having the best candidate for that position. So if we move furthermore, choose team players carefully. It is not always about the skill set, but you have also always take care about the personality of a person. Of course, there have to be a great combination between the technical skill sets or the skill sets which are required from a technical standpoint, but also you have to have a team player. There are very, I would say, rare cases in which people which do not want any interaction are good team players because they want to sit somewhere isolated and do their things. But usually the success is of a team, it is not of an independent persons. Therefore, have a people which are with good people skill sets, but also have a proper background knowledge, which is making them even more valuable. The background knowledge here is focused about the experience in taking care about difficult situations, about the experiences, how to have a plan B or how to overcome unplanned issues or problems which may happen throughout the execution of the project itself. Have a team which has a nice synergy, meaning that one of the most important things is when you have a team to have a people which are willing to collaborate together and people which have been already tested and proven to be working properly, which is also taking us to the next point. When you are making a choice, what are the team players which will be part of your teams? Think if there was a prior conflict between some of them, or maybe among small groups within the team. One of the options are to not engage them at all, but sometimes you do not have a lot of possibilities. Therefore, speak openly with the guys, speak about have they overcome the problems that they had in the past, and if they are willing to give themselves and give up all the, let's say, bad blood, which was taken in the past, and they can collaborate and be supportive to each other. And take care to have all the profiles in a team. Sometimes you may not have a possibility to engage independent person for everything, but think and see if there are possibilities to engage a single person that can fulfill 2 or maybe more roles, meaning that sometimes a person can be a developer, test engineer, and maybe a technical writer, but have all the profiles within your team, so you can know to who you can rely when there is a need to do a specific tasks. Any questions so far? PC?
Yeah, I'm quite interested in team players and getting that synergy. A particular area I'm interested in is diversity of thinking. So it's not just about diversity of gender,
Yep.
which usually takes the limelight, but diversity of thinking. What's your kind of take on that, and where have you seen that work really well?
At some later stages, I will speak about 2 types of setups. One is called the 6 heads or 6 modes of operation. And the other one is the surgeon approach, in which there is a one single star and everybody is bind together to help him achieve the goal which are set. So I'll touch that quite well in the incoming, but diversity is one of the major reasons why you will have a better outcome, but usually it takes a longer time because it takes a time to settle up all the ideas, and most of the people agree about the goals or about the next steps that are about to happen. So that's an excellent question, but let's leave it for later on. Any other questions so far? No?
I've got another one, if that's
Of
okay.
course.
Sorry, I've got
Yeah.
the other thing that you kind of mentioned here is about risk. I don't think it's always. Have you had worked with teams and people where risk is really addressed? Because I mean, all organisations have risk, all projects have risk, but it doesn't seem to be always something that is looked at as often as it could be.
You're quite correct, because especially if you are entrepreneurship type of personality, you don't want to think about the problems. You all want to think about the good outcomes, about the good things that will happen, about it may happen, but it is not worth putting it in an Excel sheet or writing that this might be a risk. So in some cases the risks are written due to regulations. In a very rare cases the risks are written due to the need or due to the proper planning. Especially the team risks are not addressed well, and this is something that I wanted to highlight here, and it is an excellent point that you have also brought up. It is that you may think that the team will settle up, everybody will work together, everything will be set properly, things will run smooth, and everything will be great. But if we don't address the risks, but also opportunities, because opportunities are also something that we usually forgot to write them down. When we have them in somewhere written, if there is a change in a team, maybe the PM or the project manager will be changed, then as having them written in the documentation, it will be much easier from time to time to go through the list, see what was assumed or maybe written into this documentation, and then follow them and see how well you're going and what are the potential risks or maybe opportunities which I have. So don't forget about writing the risks, about the team players, not only about the project risks and opportunities, of course. So a little bit of about maybe some more steps to be taken care about when you are to assemble a team. It is have set team goals. I'm repeating myself too many times, but in many cases the goals are forgotten. And if you don't have a very clear understanding of all the goals, then it is quite difficult to monitor in the execution phase how things are running. And if you are to the predefined path, and if there is maybe going on a different path, reasons why a different path has been taken. So clear expectations have to be defined from everybody. If there are different sub-teams, then each and every sub-team should know what are the goals of the sub-team and what they have to do in order to have a success. Have a clear clarification of roles, meaning that the goals can be defined, but everybody should know what are the responsibilities that he has, and he has to know what is his position. Sometimes, it is quite good to have as flat hierarchy as possible, but in my view, for example, my leadership is that I'm at the same level as everybody else, but I have the responsibility to make a final decision. I don't see it as a benefit, but I see it as a responsibility. And it has to be clear to me that when we are to make a final decision, it is my responsibility to make the final decision and for what we have agreed among ourselves. Usually when the startups are set, it is a set of friends, which are the leading persons or the leading actors in a startup. And sometimes it may be forgotten that we as a friends can act differently compared when we are into the business relation. So before we enter in something like this, then definitely define what are the business relations and who has responsibilities for what. Because yeah, privately, we maybe do things differently, but when we are running our business, we have to be strict and follow what we have agreed previously before we have entered into the business relations. Define the relation, define who speaks to how we collaborate, what are the means of collaboration, are we going to work mostly remotely, are we going to work in an office, how are the let's say COVID regulations to be followed if we are to work in an office. So define relations, collaboration, and also communication, meaning that it has to be clearly said that, for example, in our company, English will be the formal language. Everything which is not in English may be used, but it is not a formal request or it is not a formal statement. Same goes if we are to define how the commands or how the directions are given. If an email is the only way, if it is a system, if it is a communicator, we have to define how we share our activities, how we share our minutes of meetings, how we share tasks that have to be given to someone. Because I have seen in many cases that lack of predefined communication protocols are making a lot of problems. For example, I may have expect an email with task description, but we have actually someone else told that it is Jira, ADO, or something else. So they have a very well defined communication protocols. And if the PM sees or during the estimate or planning phases, there is a big achievement, split it in a smaller goals that are easily achievable, because sometimes people will get discouraged if they see that there is a high goal set that they believe personally that cannot be achieved. So set smaller, easily achievable goals, encourage the people, and then at the end, even they will be how to say, they will feel much more happier because they will achieve something that they believe at the beginning is not achievable. So they will be surprised, and then you will see the happiness which is following afterwards. And yeah, as I said, once a little bit before define big strategy, but expose tactics in a small chunks, so the people cannot feel disappointment at the very beginning. Time's flying, okay. So when you have a team set and when you have an ongoing project, do not forget about the goals that were defined. Once again, goals, but you have to have different plans, different settings to see how you can modify the path of execution if there are things going to be, if there are things which are going to happen in a wrong way. So initialize and start execution of the project according to plan A, monitor, adjust, measure, compare to the plans, see if there are any deviations, make a plan how to make the adjustments. And of course, if you have a proper planning, you can go and execute plan variants A, C, or D. And don't be afraid to sometimes be fast, bold, and severe if needed. Meaning that if you see that after few attempts, compiler is not working, think what does it mean to buy another compiler, or maybe have another team, or maybe replace some of the team members. In my view, for example, replacing of a team member is one of the worst scenarios, but sometimes it is necessary. Do the adjustments, try to encourage the team, try to see how you can maybe split the team members. So one person is doing something that was done by a person which is not performing well. Try to remedy the situation, but don't be afraid to be bold and maybe replace someone if there are obvious indications that the things will not be fixed quite soon. And there is another saying which I've been seeing in some of the literature, in some of the papers that I was reading in the past. It is called "fix the broken window," meaning that if you see that something's going wrong and you do not fix it quickly, then the other things will also go wrong. Why? Because the persons which see that you as a PM is not remedying the things quickly and on time, they will feel more relaxed and they will not follow the tasks that they have in a proper way. So the next person will also start to underperform, and then the third person will see that the first two guys were not performing well, and there's nothing happening. And the third person will also start doing things in the wrong ways, and therefore act quickly, act promptly from the very first moment when you see that things are not running well. When I say fix the things, it doesn't have to mean that you have to fire someone, but just make a notice that this is not the way it should be, in a very nice and polite way, so the person maybe who is not aware about the variation of his performances becomes aware. So try with nice and polite way to share the information that things should be a little bit different, or maybe just highlight that things are not running as they should. Any questions so far? Comments? Everything seems no or easy. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so back to the question that TC asked a little bit earlier. There are different types of setups. As I said, I'm just taking two samples that I have seen in the past. It depends quite a lot on the team. It depends the type of the project. It depends of a lot of details, how you select which mode you are to make a team, or in which mode you are to execute the project. One is the 6 thinking growth modes, and then the other one is the surgeon approach. So when we are to go into the 6 thinking growth or modes, it is encouraging diversity, and then you have collaboration, but it is quite great. And I feel quite successful as a manager if I make a collaborative tension among the team members, meaning that there is always some sense of a competition, but in a very positive way, meaning that people would like to make best out of them so they can show that they are the best, but it is not disturbing or maybe abusing or maybe influencing the other persons. So to have a friction which is quite well, and that is one of the best things that a manager can achieve, if the team members are competing, but there is no bad feelings behind it. And yeah, it is helping to have persons, or when you are assembling this kind of team, you need some persons to challenge most of the ideas of proposals. Because if there is a silence, for example, if I say, okay, guys, we are to jump off the roof, are we all okay? And if there is a silence, then there's definitely something wrong, because it is either it is not interesting what I'm saying, or maybe the persons around me are not interested in giving themselves or proposing good ideas how to overcome a problem which is incoming. And yeah, just very briefly, the 6 roles are, or the 6 heads are: the white one, it is a person which is relying on data, and he is the analyst, the person which will take any decision only based by a lot of data, by a lot of analysis, and he needs quite a lot of argument behind his decisions. Usually he is not the person making the decision, but that is the person which will analyze, and he is not bored to go through billions of bytes of data and find some meaning out of it. The other one is the green person. It is the one which is a creative person giving the ideas, and usually those ideas are quite out of the box, meaning that he is the person which is giving an idea of a solution which no one else thought about it. So it's a great person to be present in each and every team, and this is the guy which is always challenging the rest of the persons by giving maybe sometimes wrong ideas, but all of them are out of the box and they may induce other ideas among the team members. The blue one is the decision making. As a PM, you have to be cautious about him because he may jump into a premature decision. So whenever a decision is taken, think a little bit more what are the things that came from the rest of the persons or the rest of the team members before you accept and you follow what is decision proposed or given by the blue hat. Red one, it is a guy which is basing his movements on a hunch, on a feeling, on a instinct. It is great because in my personal view, the instinct is what is my consciousness trying to say. And sometimes the instinct is based on a forgotten experiences. So don't by default ignore the instincts and the things which are coming from the red guy, because he may have a feeling based on a real history, on a real arguments which are hidden somewhere behind, but they exist and they are giving him the right directions. The yellow one, it is the optimist or the one that can go give positive things, meaning that he's the guy, yeah, everything will succeed. And this is a person which is fueling the good feelings among the team members, meaning that this is the guy that will pretty much encourage everybody to see the bright future, not the data, not the feeling, not the instincts, but he is the guy that will always say, yeah, we will achieve the goals, we will do the things in a proper way, this will be a success. And it is a great person to be used to organize, let's say, in most of the cases, those are the guys that are making the brainstorming and the guys which will do the team buildings. So they will invent the ways how the team buildings can be much more interesting. And the black one is the judgment one. He's always judging, estimating, re-estimating, seeing how the things are going, how we're going on a path, which will lead us to the success or not. And he is always complaining. So be aware that he is the guy that complains always. So don't judge him, but don't give him too much freedom to not spread the bad energy among the team members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this. I love this idea of having different roles and having that diversity. I guess there's an element of also engineering teams to have those elements. And just to share a story, we used to have a few judgmental people in the team, and actually they're really valuable. They're pain,
Yeah,
and they're really painful, but they're really valuable. And speaking to the same kind of concept, the 6 thinking hats. Sometimes we used to swap hats, so somebody would take that on. So hopefully I'm stealing the thunder there, but yeah, I love the idea of taking a role.
yeah, it's
Yeah, just building on that. I also know the 6 thinking hats and what helps. I think the last one, the judgment one, it also has a very important role, right? And important to give kind of also this freedom and the space. What helped with a couple of teams I've been working with is everyone can have every hat at some point, right? You go through something, and then everyone can be the white hat and just disregard everything else and be free from being the black hat if this is my natural role. And yeah, that gives the team dynamics.
yeah, that's true. One thing which I have sometimes seen when the team is set up, and if it is a team with less than 6 persons, then what do you do? One of the ways is that you pre-select which are the most important ones, and then as you have proposed, switch the hats. Or throughout the execution of the project, you may need different hats, meaning that, okay, guys, now we are focused on data analysis and judgment. And this is the phase in which we are to do, let's say, market analysis. And therefore, those 2 roles are the most important. Yeah.
Can it be a person with 2 hats? Let's say like creative data analysis.
Yeah, it's there are possibilities.
Creative ideas with that.
Yeah, there are possibilities to combine persons, but usually you are losing focus if you say at the same time I'm 2 types of persons. It is great one person to take different roles, but in my experience, not at the same time. Therefore, I'm saying if it is a smaller team, Now we say, this is the phase in the project in which we are data-driven. Analyze data and have a person taking the white hat. Analyze, do, and then we need just a judgment person. We will not involve any instincts, we will not involve any feelings. We are to take this phase only out of those hats. As the time is ongoing, maybe the white guy will become the red one or vice versa. But in my personal experience, one hat at a time. Maybe someone else has a different experience, so feel free to share if you.
I think that the question from Blagoj is from a startup point of view, when you don't have the
Yes.
courtesy of having a very large team, and sometimes you need to switch hats. So if there is a 3-person team, so you're just starting, what 3 positions or what 3 roles you would give the most emphasis on?
It depends in which phase the idea development it is. If it is in the phase when we are doing the market analysis, then you will focus on the data, judgment, and maybe decision making is something that should be present always. In the next phase, when we are doing project management, then the same persons can take different hats. But in essence, I would believe that it is wise that a startup is not doing all the things at once. So they have to do market analysis, they have to do the ideation, they have to do planning, they have to do budget estimates. So throughout different phases, the 3 persons can take different hats. So that way, I believe it is much better than to think at once for everything, and of course, spill the knowledge and spill, let's say, the time of the people on different things at once. I know that we all believe that we are multitasking, but it is not true. As a persons, we do our best only when we are focused on one thing, and multitasking can be achieved in a different way. For example, in a week, first on Monday, you will do task type A, on Tuesday, different types of tasks, and in average throughout the week, you have been doing multitasking, but reserve enough time to focus on one task at a time so you have a good results. If you think of all 5 tasks in each and every day simultaneously, then that's a way to a disaster.
Yeah, but this is where the startups are lacking the most.
Yeah.
But I think they should work more on this because they think, okay, yeah, we can do everything at one time. No.
Yeah.
The focus today, as you said, today,
Yeah.
this, tomorrow, next.
Yeah, that's true. Self-discipline is one of the most important things when you are doing startups or new ideas, because there is always a balance between how good is my idea, am I on time, will I achieve the goals on time, and then we all hurry thinking that if we do things faster, we will be better on the market. And this is the point in which I think luck will have its deal. But once again, make a proper estimates and be more smart. In many situations, or in many cases, I have seen, be brave, be bold, make a mistake, it's nothing, but it's not true. Make a mistake, but don't repeat it, because the people make the same mistake each and every time, and they don't learn anything. So make a mistake, but only once. That's the add-on that I would like to give. And learn out of the mistakes, not only from your mistakes. The easiest and the less painful method is to learn from other people's mistakes, but be smart enough to adjust, change, learn, consult, and do not repeat the same mistake that you did it previously. Sometimes we as a people lie ourselves by saying, okay, if I do enough mistakes, I will be successful, because this is what the books are saying. But what is extremely important is to learn out of the mistakes, not just to make them, just to say that statistics says that after 1,000 mistakes, I'll hit the proper way. Yeah, so a little bit more about the 6 thinking roles and modes of and properties. The challenges here are that it creates an open arena from brainstorming, and the challenge here is that they have to be controlled brainstorming. Decisions are sometimes taken very slow, and decisions are taking a lot of time because everybody has the right to expose, challenge, discuss, further develop, and add things into these discussion and brainstorming activities, and it may easily transition toward chaotic behavior, meaning that we may initiate our discussion about how to make a clear water, but at the end we will discuss about the beer, about the wine, and about the things which are not important. So whenever you are doing brainstorming, keep up to the topics which are predefined, so you are efficient and you are achieving the good results out of it. The benefits are that it is more thorough and more detailed decision making. And one of the greatest things in this scenario is that almost everybody agrees about the decision. This is extremely important because if we all agree about the decision, then we will put ourselves to a higher pressure to achieve it. Why? Because if the PM or the manager says, guys, we will do the things right, we will do the things this way, and if other people have a different opinions without discussing the other opinions, they will not accept the manager's direction quite easily, as if everybody were involved in discussing and taking the final decision. Which means that the brainstorming gives everybody a possibility to share his thoughts and maybe get a counter argument why the idea that he proposed is not good enough. At the end, when most of the people agree about the directions and the ways forward, following and executing the project or the idea or the task is much better. Another thing is that there is a lower probability of failure because more people think, more heads are thinking about the ideas, and diversity, as this is said. So diversity is always giving a possibility to see the problem from different points of view, from different lights, and see what are the potential solutions out of it. How to control and overcome the challenges, because that's, I would say, one of the most important things. It is great to use this methodology, but we have to have a mechanism how to control it. Define limitations. As I said, when you are doing a brainstorming, don't do it out of nothing. Have a very well-defined agenda, follow it, and if there are things going away from the predefined agenda, just go back, remind ourselves or remind the team that we have to make a decision today about that topic, not about anything else. Agree on a timeline. It is extremely important that we may say that within a predefined timeline, we have to reach a conclusion or at least select the best proposal which is thrown. Do not say that we have all the time in the world, but take the time which is needed when the deadline comes, make a final decision. And of course, agree who takes precedence in those situations, because if we are, as I said, in a flat hierarchy or in a flat organization, someone has to have the responsibility to take the final decision and say, guys, we have to stop, and this is the way that we will proceed. And then the other one is we are running out of time, therefore I'll just speed it up, and we may leave the questions for later on. But if there's something important, just raise your hand. Okay.
I don't know if we have any Zoom questions or not.
There are some into the chat.
Yep. Should I open it or?
Can you check if there are questions or it's only comments? One question.
Yeah.
What should be the ideal balance between seniors and juniors in the team? Considering the taking of precedence in decision making usually is done by more experienced ones.
Well, it's a never-ending question. What is the proper balance about the seniority within a team? It depends quite a lot on the stage in which the project it is and the budgets, of course. For example, it's during the initial phases, it is better to have more seniors because then the development should go much faster, and then the tasks are more difficult, like setting up architecture, setting up plans, setting up estimates, setting up a lot of things. And in those tasks, the juniors will not perform as quickly as needed. Therefore, at the beginning, I would say it is like 60% seniors, 20% intermediate, or 30% intermediate, and then only 10% of juniors. But this also depends quite a lot on the setup. For example, if there is a phase in which there is a lot of content that have to be uploaded into the initial phases, then more juniors are needed because the seniors will feel bored and they will be overpaid to do tasks that can be done by the juniors. So make a smart planning. This is something that has to be properly estimated at the very beginning, and it has to be part of the documentation that will be prepared and part of the teams that are to be needed throughout the project execution. So in my experience, the projects on which I was working at the very beginning, it is 60 to 100% of seniors. And as the time is ongoing, the balance is changed. Sometimes through the project, when the initial implementation is running, when we are ready to do some verification and testing, then we can change the ratio, like 50% seniors, 40% intermediate, 10% juniors. And as we are leaning towards the end of the project, one of the nice balances are 20 to 30% of seniors, 40% of intermediate, and the rest will be juniors. But there is no formula or algorithm that you can use in order to have a bulletproof solution. Make a proper planning at the very beginning, and as I said, depending on the types of tasks, you can make an estimate on the team setup and the seniority levels needed. Any other question, Christian? No? Anyone from here? No? Okay. So the surgeon approach, it is, I would say, completely different, maybe seen from the 6 hats, in which there is a full focus on small set of goals to reach the final big goal. And all the team members are set to support the main person or the surgeon, meaning that the set is set in this way. When you have a person which is expert into the domain, subject matter expert, or a guy that has already did similar or same projects like for 10-20 years, and he has a lot of experience in this area. And usually he's the guy which is setting up what kind of service personnel is needed around him, so he can be the star and he can do the things which are needed. So he will usually set diversity of skill sets among his team members in order to have a support for each and every step or each and every of those small goals which are to be reached. And not always the surgeon guy is performing all the tasks. For example, in some cases, this will be the surgeon will say, okay, you are the person dedicated to make the environment in which we will develop the code. So he will be a DevOps guy setting up the environment, but once again, according to the requirements coming from the surgeon. Then he may say, okay, guys, now we are ready to establish the templates for something, and he will give the direction and he will instruct the person responsible for the direction, for the setting up the templates. So the templates are in place. And these are the small steps that will be done by the team members, and they will actually support the main guy to start doing development or implementations. It requires an excellent and very detailed plan for all the small steps that are to be executed, and everybody who is part of the team supporting the surgeon will have to be skilled in those small activities that are to be taken by him. This is a great approach for repetitive project and goals, meaning that the team will have to be skilled into executing their small tasks or executing their small goals during the execution of the project. And this is something that is great in order whenever you have to set a big goal, but everybody knows what are the end results, and this has been done many times until now. What are the challenges here? It is focused on one and only one goal. If throughout the path we see another opportunity, it might be quite difficult to do something else or maybe add some additional value. Why? Because you don't have the skilled people to do the extra activities, and therefore you may miss an opportunity to achieve better outcome out of it. But the focus is once again to fix or do the goal, the big goal, which is predefined, requires a very good planning and requires a very skilled manager in order to do the planning. And once again, it is lack of flexibility, meaning that we have a direction, we have a goal, and any deviations are not accepted and any deviations are not possible. What are the benefits? It is that the decisions are taken faster. The surgeon or the star or the main person does not allow any diversity. He is not allowing any discussion, but he is the one taking the responsibility to make a decision. And the complete team is not thinking about what we can do else, how we can achieve things differently, but we only think how to achieve the goal which is set. How to control and overcome some of the challenges, it is yet backup plans, but still the backup plan will be the plan how to stay on the right path. The backup plan is not saying, okay, if we don't make a clear water, we will make a better beer. It's not an option. The goal is to make a clear water, and all the deviations should be maybe small, but still lead to the same and primary decision and primary focus. The good thing is to not go to the most complex activities with the team with which you are planning to make the big goal or the big activities. Exercise and work together on easier projects, so we enable and establish synergy among the team members and define how will we act in a very specific moments, meaning that after a while, like if you're living with someone for 30 years, you do not even have to speak. You just have to see the person and things are set. So whenever you have a great teams, you will have the same terminology and you will know how to act when a person just moves an eyebrow or just moves the finger. Then the team member that you have to hand the tool to the surgeon will know what is the tool and how to hand it properly. And have spare team players, because you do not have the luxury to make the big surgery without all the roles and all the people involved. So the question might be, for what kind of project this approach is good? This is usually whenever you have to do maintenance or migration or do things that have to be done in a proper way or executed without any mistakes. One of the big examples here is the migration of the Munich airport maybe 15 years ago, when in one night all the mandatory equipment was taken from one place and moved to another one, and everything worked flawlessly after 24 hours. And this was one of the big examples of having everything pre-planned, preset around a single set or a small group of people that did the activities at the end. So whenever you are to do something significant or something that may have a big impact afterwards, this is the way it should be done. No diversity, no brainstorming, nothing. Get the best person that did the migration for maybe past 20 to 30 years. He will be the one that takes care about everything, but he will have to rely on his team members on each and every step to achieve the goals that are preset.
We have one more question.
Yeah.
From Newton. He said, how do you see the integration of the interns in an ongoing project?
Sorry, how do I see?
How do you see the integration of
Okay.
interns in an ongoing project?
It's very easy or very complex. Once again, it depends on the type of the project. You know, if it is into the very initial phases in which it is mandatory to have only seniors, it is impossible. However, as the project evolves a little bit later on, some tasks may be delayed, meaning that those tasks are perfect as an educational tasks for the interns. They will get usually the easiest tasks, and they will get the tasks which will be something that they can achieve. Why? Because once again, if we take an intern and give him an impossible task, he will be discouraged, and then we missed the opportunity to help him grow. Meaning that it is not always to give the most difficult task to the less skilled engineers just to get rid of him. Sometimes in Macedonia, we say, for example, okay, I gave you an opportunity and you haven't achieved any results, but the opportunity has to be up to the skills and the possibilities for the guy to achieve it. Therefore, we have to be very careful and cautious what type of tasks we are giving to the interns and encourage and help them in each and every step. Another thing, in a little bit more developed projects, the maintenance or the support tasks are the best ones for the interns. Why? Because usually those tasks can be delayed. Of course, you will not engage an intern to work on a burning task, on a burning bug that have been discovered, but by giving him a possibility to work on a task or small improvement, will give him a possibility to understand first the ways of working, the next, what are the tools and what are the environments that are used for development, and those tasks, how difficult may seem for him, will give him a possibility to make a great overview of the complete project. Why? Because sometimes the problem is touching or influencing different systems within a big enterprise application. And by giving him a possibility to go through all of those systems, will help him understand how the big enterprise application works. And one other thing which helps quite a lot to the interns is to have a proper documentation within the project. It is always one of the burning issues, meaning that almost always there is a lack of proper documentation. But if you have a project with a good documentation, at least for the architectural or the application overview, it is an excellent start for the interns to go through the documentation and understand a little bit more about the architecture, how the modules are connected, and whenever there is a maintenance task, for example, which are the most obvious places to seek for a problem. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. Thanks, everybody. I think it was very exciting for me to share some of my experiences. I hope that you learned something and it was not boring. And yeah, I would like to invite now see our next step. Just let me set things, if I may, in a proper way. Yeah,
Are you still on Zoom?
Yeah,
We're
they're
back.
on Zoom, but I think that it was disabled. The camera and microphone. Video sam mikrofonat šur.
Yeah, so we are back with the second session. Thank you, Blagoj, for actually, I will have to rewatch that session.
Yeah.
There was some very good gems that I will need to go back with us developing agile teams and really striving for excellence. Working with startups, with Startup Macedonia, we have over 150 startups that we support under the platform, and also connecting with other partners. So as IT Labs is one of them, really truly need this cross-sharing of information. So this will be definitely part of our knowledge base that we can further share with our audience and ecosystem. But we're coming to the second session. We have TC Gill with us. Welcome to Skopje. It's not your first time, I understand, right?
This is my first time in
It
Macedonia.
is your first
Yeah.
time.
I'm a Macedonian. I was going to say virgin there, but not anymore. You know.
We have some other Macedonian virgins here also, like people joining for the first time in the audience.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you're not the first one. Great time to be in Skopje.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's good to kind of see the history. Obviously, you've got like you're dripping with history. You know, this kind of region, and it's good. And I've been working with my colleagues for a couple of years now, and it's great to see people. I'm a people person, so it's finally great to meet people and and get their I don't know, their energy, their life force in the space.
You said something very interesting. Stories. You like to dig the stories around people, around places, around companies.
Yes.
You basically have your own podcast, and this is type of your storytelling and shedding light on a part of your world. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm honored to be IT Labs Chief Talking Officer. I've always wanted to be a CTO, so I kind of managed it with a little t. So I'm Chief Talking Officer for IT Labs, and we for CTO Confessions. It's a podcast series where we interview tech leaders around the world. And the aim actually is to shine a light on these fantastic men and women that do a lot of work and change the world in huge ways, but they very rarely get the light shone on them. And the idea is to actually shine a really nice light and actually find out the great work they do, how they do it, the tips, their wisdom, rather than just when things go wrong and everything's going curl at the edges. So it's to celebrate tech leaders for the impact that they make.
Was there anything that actually struck you like surprising during this? We are in the close to 20th session. I've watched few.
Oh, we're up to about 100 now. We're approaching 100 now. So there's quite a lot. I think this is going to sound really funny, but I had a lot of ideas of what good leadership is about, and it's great when you hear it from other people and going, yes, I was on the right track, and people that I've met before as well. But I think it's also the diversity of the way in which people go about stuff. There's some real gems that we've got from our tech leaders, and again, it's finding out their story, how they got to where they are. We've had everything from physicists that become tech leaders. We've got techies, obviously, that have become tech leaders. I just love hearing stories and then conveying those stories again.
Yeah, and something that I found that because you're actually specifically targeting CTOs, we call them a specific breed when it comes to startups. So you need to have the technical guy, you need to have the business guy, and these two roles don't necessarily go together. So like in creating a company or a vision of what the company should be, what's the importance of the CTO and what's the importance of that role in the tech type of startup?
That's a great question, because that's a really good question. All businesses are kind of intertwined into the digital fabric of the world. I mean, there's not many companies you've got out there that aren't in the digital space. So the men and women that are leading the technology in organizations are literally making or breaking the organization. I joke sometimes with our tech leaders, and I think it was a particular tech leader that kind of brought it a light onto the kind of concept of tech leaders are like time lords. I don't know if you have Doctor Who here in Macedonia.
Few fans.
Yeah. So tech leaders like time lords, they've got to cater for what's happened in the past in organizations, the technology. They've got to deal with what's present as well, but they've also got to see the map going forward in the future. And I think, you know, so it's a really tough spot to be in, but it's a really exciting one as well. And there's a lot of, and also they've got to be people as well, you know, because they're having to inspire people to do pretty complex stuff. So, yeah.
So I always, and we had a discussion with the management team, like I say myself that I'm a translator between the tech and the business world.
Yes.
Sometimes we need a translator.
Oh, absolutely.
But what is your role within IT Labs? Because you have a very interesting title.
Yes.
Chief Talk Officer. So
Yes.
probably there is a lot of talking going
Yes. Yeah. There's a joke that I could talk for England, and actually Nina, who I met, and Branislav, the CEO of IT Labs, the first time I met them, I think I demonstrated my speaking abilities quite a bit too well. I think I spoke like there was no tomorrow. But the other work that I do within IT Labs is that, so alongside my passion around speaking to tech leaders, I also am the chief business agilist. And a lot of people say, what the hell is business agility and stuff like that? It's basically taking the work that Agile started, the values and principles that kind of fired up this whole movement, and bring it to the wider organization. And for me, the analogy or the image is around creating an organization that is agile, that swarms and flocks in the direction that it needs to go. So yeah, so that's the stuff I love. And like Blagoj's talk, it's about people, you know, it's about creating the relationships, it's about creating the connections, the information flow, the communication, the sharing of ideas, and also the conflict, you know, to see what the best ideas are going forward. So that's my real passion. I love that. And I love working with our clients. I do obviously work within IT Labs to bring that about as well. So yeah, exciting stuff. Exciting
is definitely the specific topic on the vision, and something you wanted to deliver. Yes. So I will stop with the questions now, because I would like to listen to what you have to say, and then come back on the topics that kind of it sparked from the discussion. Brilliant, excellent, thanks for that. So unfortunately, I've got to put my glasses on, because hopefully, if there's any entrepreneurs out there that can make eyes, you know, bionic eyes, please invent it, because I'd be your first customer, you know. But anyway, so this talk, the title is how a vision can create a company's future, and the tips from the greatest CTOs, which is the kind of CTO Confessions guests that we've had. And the three takeaways that I want to hopefully you take away is around the power of vision. Okay, we all hear about visions in companies. They're a thing that people almost ignore sometimes. Now, all companies don't take too seriously. So I want you to take away the power of vision, and I'll explain why that's important. Yeah, my second key takeaway is why that's important, how it can be used to your strengths, as a powerful tool. And hopefully some tips around real life successful leaders and podcast guests that we've had of how they've used vision and in their thing. And I'm hoping that we'll get some questions from the audience around this, you know, because I like to interact with people and get tough questions, so make them as tough as you can. And ideally inspire people that are entrepreneurs that are watching this, and entrepreneurs that are in the audience, to kind of really light the fire in them about getting their vision right. Okay, that's what I want for you, to get that vision set up and working for you. So what I want to do is I want to take a step back and get back to basics. I always like to go back to basics before we kind of move forward. So what is vision? Okay, it's the definition of vision. It's around seeing. It's your ability to think about and plan the future with imagination and wisdom. Okay. So that is the fundamental thing of what a vision statement, or having a vision for your company, is. There's another very kind of poetic description I like to put in. It's a creative collective dream for an organization. It's a dream that we're trying to make come true. Yeah, so, you know, I'm very passionate about visions. I see the tool, they're a great way. We're going to look at, see how they work as great tools. Simon Sinek, who's hopefully people in the audience have heard of him. He's written some great books. He's done some great talks on TED as well. He describes it as a just cause. A vision is a just cause. An affirmative statement of the future state that does not exist yet, that we, the business,
or commit our business to. So I love the idea of a just cause, because what it's doing is mixing up a number of really important elements of what a successful company is. So a just cause has to be resilient. It has to be able to tolerate the changes out in the marketplace, in the world, you know, be them cultural, be them political, and be them technological changes. And we all know as technologists that technology is changing all the time. It's just mad. It's madness. The just cause also has to be inclusive. It has to include people. And when you state your vision, it has to invite people to want to believe in it as well. The best vision statements are like, do you know what? I'm in. I'm with that. I want to be part of it potentially. And also a vision statement has to be service orientated. It's serving others in some way. It's making very clear what difference it's going to make to people's lives. And so we've described what a visionaire is now. Okay, it's about getting people to be inspired. And what I want to do now is look at the reasons why it's really important. Now, one of the ways I like to look at organizations is that it's a bag of people. Every organization, every business is a bag of people, a collection of people with their own needs, their own ideas, their own assumptions, their own histories. So there's they're going to be coming from different directions. And as an organization, when we come together, we need to align somehow, right? We need to bring hearts and minds together. And this is why a vision statement is important, because if you've got, I always like to joke that a company is like a herd of kittens. I don't know if people have got kittens here in the audience and at home, you know.
More of a dog person.
Yeah, same here. But kittens are very difficult to herd, and organizations are like that. And if ever you get the opportunity to try and herd kittens, it's very difficult. So what you want to do is get the hearts and minds to want to align themselves, to see that kind of want to be in the same direction and not get lost. Also, another good analogy is it's like the world that we live in is an innovation storm. You know, we live in this crazy innovation storm where there's lots of things happening, and we're being buffeted all the time. It's a keel for the ship in that storm, to correct us back onto the path that we want to be on. And so, in short, the importance of having a vision is around creating focus. It's to create focus on that common goal. A quote that I love is that a successful person is the average person focused. A successful company is an average company focused, laser focused on this thing that they're trying to achieve. And just to add to that, I didn't realize this, that Bruce Lee made this quote as well. A successful warrior is an average man or woman with laser-like focus. So, listen to Bruce Lee, he got some wisdom, So that's the first part of creating a vision. It creates focus. The other one that I've mentioned here is alignment. When you're in alignment with your desires of your heart, things have a way to work out. Okay, so if we align our hearts and minds, it just naturally emerges success. And that is a quote by somebody, I can't pronounce their name. I do apologize to the person whose quote this is, but it's it's really important we get that alignment. And the other thing that I love about vision statements is that it empowers. So a vision statement, once it's put into space and you believe in it, you think, do you know what, I want to be a part of that. You're empowered to make that vision come true as well. It becomes something that can drive your behavior. So I've got a question actually to the audience. Who uses vision statements in their organization? And how effective do you find that use of that vision statement?
Can you state your vision statement?
Right now?
Yep.
For whatever I do, or for well, if I'm beginning to work on a project, for example, I like to visualize first where the project is going and what my role is in it. That's how I make a vision statement. And well, I'm a designer, so I'm a visual person. So everything I do is connected to visualization.
Brilliant.
But what's the vision statement of IT Labs?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we've been doing quite a lot of work on this. So I have got a version. I knew this was going to get asked. Yeah. So
they said
I
prepared.
should be
not going by the.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. And so one of the things that IT Labs are doing, we're realigning ourselves around some clear statements. We've had some great statements in the past, but we are now aligning to it. So the vision statement is for IT Labs is that we envisage a world in which CTOs, tech leaders, don't have to worry about high-performing teams. That's our vision. That's what we want to create. And we've got a series of purpose and passion and mission that kind of sits around that. So, and again, you know, that aligns people. It empowers people to make sure that thing comes true. You know, that's what I love.
And it's universal, it's timeless, it's just
that's right. And I don't, you know, vision statements shouldn't really change. You shouldn't, the kind of seeding of a company or an organization or direction shouldn't really change. I don't think it's a hard fast rule, but ideally it will stick to that. And I can't see that changing because that's the area that we're in at the moment. So yes, yeah.
What do you swear by? But because when you get people in, they should say like, I do support this. And
yeah, I think that's a really good point because there's a bit of part of me that has a kind of like you know, Star Wars, the Darth Vader type thing. You know, you align to the you know, the collection. But I think people should want to do it. You should be invited to come to it, and the vision statement should be enough for you to understand and go, yeah, I'm in with that. You know, it's inspiring enough. So that's good.
There was someone else wanting to share their vision maybe before we go.
Yeah, we have basically for previous companies, we're also in the process of getting our new vision statement aligned. But one that worked really well and that connected was eliminating food waste.
Oh, nice.
It was very simple, very straightforward. People connect with it really well. It was very clear and very emotional topic for everyone. So
yes. That's brilliant. I can align to that. You see, I mean, you shared that, and that's something that I can very much align to. And this is the great thing. And thank you for sharing, you know, your vision. I didn't catch your name, Elena. And so the idea is it kind of brings people along, and they have to be visual. You've got to really see them in your mind's eye. You know, I mean, I love to do visions. I do vision statements for my personal life. I also work as a coach for tech leaders and business leaders, and we work on creating visions. And the idea is to bring as many of the senses as you can to that vision statement. You might have a very snappy version of this vision statement, but then there might be a story of a day in the future of where that vision is true. Who's saying what? Who's doing what? How are they moving? How are they? I've never quite worked out how you get smell sense into a vision, but you know, maybe somebody can show an example of that.
I just wanted to ask, do you think that in the future, as a company or startup develops, can have the opportunity and possibility to change this vision statement? Because I think, and you asked the question, okay, maybe we know what our vision are, or how do we cope with that vision, but maybe we are not always, when we are working, getting that in mind. And often I think we need to stop and let's go back to what's our vision statement. But I think in time, this vision statement can be changed. Yes.
Yeah. I think ideally they stay the same or generally the same, but there are some fine tuning maybe, you know. If the company changes complete direction, then that's a rethink, you know, totally. Yeah. So it depends, you know. I'm very agile in these things. I'm not kind of I don't get too kind of fixed, but yeah, it's to hold it lightly, you know. Yeah.
What happens if a company doesn't have a vision?
Right. So the analogy of the kittens comes into play here. It makes life harder. I think it makes life really hard, and also decision making on the big grand scale of, you know, the company, the bigger decisions become very, 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 very challenging. You know, so in not having a vision, you know, where are you heading? How do you know when you kind of get to the you know, to the point where you want to get to? I think not having it's like it's sailing without a rudder. It's just you're moving, you're doing stuff, but it's not really achieving a goal, you know. Yeah, good.
Can maybe throw in another one since
Sure.
we are developing this, so your feedback is quite appreciated. So here is the one for the current companies. We're creating, facilitating, and nurturing positive impact by connecting cultural ecosystems.
I like it. Yes. Yeah. And is that in a specific industry or?
This is kind of the vision, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't change. It's not a particular trend into an industry.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean repeat it again for me, please.
36C is creating, facilitating, and nurturing positive impact by connecting cultural ecosystems.
Nice. Yes. So it's yeah, it sounds like you're kind of, there's lots of different arenas that have been brought together to achieve a goal. I think one of the things would describe the future state, what impact that's having. You know, maybe I would add that into the kind of statement. But yeah, it's yeah, that's a good start. Brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about vision was that also there's some words that are used around vision statements and vision, what have you. And I wanted to kind of build up a picture around that because they all kind of interrelate. And these are things like vision, purpose, mission, values, and goals. And Blagoj spoke around goals earlier on, so that kind of brings his stuff nicely in there. And I'm going to put my glasses on again because I've just realised my eyes don't work very well. So the analogy I want to give here is by a gentleman, Benjamin Harvey. He's got a YouTube video online. And I loved his analogy because it fits very much with my kind of coaching style and coaching that I'm kind of trained in. And if you imagine a landscape, okay, is if you imagine a landscape, and off in the distance is this kind of vision, maybe the sun, okay, that's where we want to go to. And there's a path leading up to that vision. And you've got the landscape and you've got, you know, the various things like hills, mountains, and tough terrain that you need to kind of cover. So the vision is what we're going to create, what that looks like in the future. Now, purpose is why we're going to do it. It's the reason why we're going to get on that path towards that vision. And the mission is the how we're going to do it. It is the actual path we're going to travel. I like to think of it the adventure. The mission is the adventure that we're going to bring to life. And along the way, bringing Blagoj's goals in there, we've got certain points, we've got signposts being the goals to show that we're heading in the right direction. You know, we are going towards the vision. And I love that analogy because it kind of fits the whole thing in the purpose, the mission. And the other thing I haven't mentioned, which was values. Companies have values. I know IT Labs have a great set of values. And the values also help you make sure that you're heading along that path, you know, and while you're honoring your values, you know, so you get a sense of fulfillment, you know, so there's no point about achieving the vision and just making money, you know, it's around, you know, having an impact as well and honoring values around respect or make collaboration and integrity and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that, maybe I should have done a PowerPoint presentation and shown you the picture of the landscape. It's a bit late for that. So hopefully that
we can all imagine it.
Yeah, imagine it. Create the vision in your vision. In your vision. And the other reason why I think vision statements are really important, and this goes back down to what makes us human. Us human beings have developed these beautiful brains, and I don't know if you realize it, but large centers of our brains are actually dedicated to the visual, to seeing the image. So why wouldn't we use that tool? It's in there, you know. We love seeing things, we love sensing stuff. So having that vision in your mind and then inspiring people to have that vision in their minds as well kind of creates success for the organizations. And entrepreneurs out there with startups, you know, really work on that vision and convey it. In fact, one of the things I found really interesting was that when did vision statements start? And so I started looking into this, and apparently, you know, cave paintings, they're a vision statement. Cave men and women used to get together and paint a vision of what they wanted to achieve. The aim of the paintings was to learn from the past and see a way forward with hope. So even cave men and women were doing this, you know, so they got something right. So do it in the modern day, you know.
That's like the old version of vision boards.
Yes, yeah.
How many of you have ever created a vision board, or do you know what it is? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I've got one as well.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's good fun as well. Yeah. And it's surprising actually when you create that vision and you look at it a few years later. Hopefully, it doesn't end up in a drawer at the bottom of a cupboard somewhere. When you come back to it, you look and go, oh, I actually did achieve some of that. So it's quite surprising. The
universe sometimes magically.
Yeah. There's a very spiritual way of looking at it. It's a very rational way. I mean, so yeah, I always joke that Lady Universe is watching and she spots what you want and then she puts the stuff in front of you. But, you know, but there's also a rational one. You're setting your mind up for success. It knows how to going to get there.
The universe is watching, but the audience is watching for another 10 minutes. So,
oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to reminder for maybe including some of the audience, if you have some final points to emphasize, and then we bring also maybe someone from the audience to ask questions.
Just one thing regarding the encouraging everybody to have a vision. I have a very close friend of mine. He was working as a lead generating agent, and he was always offended. I don't know, he was feeling quite bad after some of the discussions with potential clients, and he felt, he was feeling quite bad. But what helped him to achieve the better goals? He drew an image of his vision, what he want to achieve. And he said that I had this image in front of me pretty much every day. And whenever I had a very bad discussion with a potential client, then I would just think to myself, yeah, it doesn't matter. It was just one additional discussion, but I'm still heading toward achieving my vision. And today, he pretty much achieved.
Excellent. I mean, yeah, it's a really powerful tool, and that's a really good point, Blagoj, because we're going to fail. I say entrepreneurs, startups, and personally, we're going to fail. Okay, if you're not failing, you're doing something wrong. You know, life is about trying stuff. It's an adventure, and you are going to trip up. So, in a business context, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough, and the vision gets you back up. To me, it's that fellow traveler that pulls you up, you know, by your collar, picks you up, pats you on your bottom, and says, "Come on, that's the way you're going." So, the vision statements are a great way of recovering from failure, you know, and getting back on the direction it needs to go. And so I just want to maybe describe about, okay, we've got these great big visions, this big long arc of where we're going to get to, and having goals that we try to achieve as we go there. So one of the things that one of our CTO guests said, which I loved, is that, you know, when you look at these kind of big visions, they always look hard. They look difficult. They look almost impossible, you know, challenging. But break them up to mini visions, mini goals, mini outcomes. And what he said was that anything hard can be made easy. I think, Blagoj, you mentioned that. Just break it up to small enough chunks, so you get that sense that you are traveling the journey, you are on that path, you know. And on that note as well, OKRs, you know, objectives or outcomes and key results are a fantastic tool. These are little mini visions, but they also give you an indication whether you are heading towards the thing that you're trying to achieve. So I love OKRs with outcomes, a really good hypothesis to justify that. And alongside OKRs is to create experiments of how you create that vision. So it's not about having it fixed. It's about thinking, well, I know what I need to do more of, what I would like more of. How do I create experiments that are going to create that? So yeah, hopefully people have got an idea that firstly, I'm very passionate about vision. But also, you know, to do that yourself, it's a really simple tool that most people forgo, or they think it's fluffy or woo-woo or whatever it is. Just do it and write it out, make it feel real, sense it, and head in that direction.
Thank you, Thessi, for delivery. We have from the audience a question, and maybe we can check the 5 minutes more. So
just because I know I work with quite some teams before, and it's always like or in lesser experienced teams, a distinction between vision and mission. Maybe you can give your viewpoint on that. You know, this distinction, because it often gets meshed up.
Yeah, it does. The terminology is very different. I mean, it's. But I think what's important is that you have the definition of what you think the vision is and what the mission is, so that you can drive you internally. You know, and the terminology is a little bit confusing sometimes. And this is why I love that analogy of the landscape of where the different things, how the symbiotic relationship of all those different terms are to bring it all together. Really.
Do we have questions from anyone from the audience? So of course I have one.
Oh, good.
That's never. So what I was going through all these very amazing people that you've interviewed, and you speak about the importance of AI and how like machine learning and artificial intelligence will actually not be replacing us, but helping us in actually become more agile and actually doing more stuff. So what's your take on that? Like,
yeah, that's a good question. It's something that thankfully a lot of tech leaders we spoke to are very passionate about. It's about augmenting humanity. It's not about overtaking it or replacing it. And also there's the element of AI and that kind of technology. It's quite early days. I know we're making advances, but I like the idea of tech in general augmenting humanity, making an impact and making human lives better. And it's the same thing with AI. And some of the tech leaders we spoke to, it's helping make decisions. It's not making the decision. It's giving information, insights.
Business intelligence and all that.
Yeah. So when you do hear about AI, you kind of think about Terminator and all that kind of stuff, but it's, that's a miles off. And most people in that field are very excited about the difference it can make to us as human beings.
Definitely, because like for me, a vision is something that it's almost unreachable. It's somewhere there, kind of like going to the end of the rainbow.
Yes.
But you are striving to get there, and there will be gold along the way. Not
Yes.
necessarily finding the pot of gold,
Yes.
but along the way there is going to be some key benefits with just going on the same line.
Yes, that's right. It's I can't remember the book where this comes from. One of our guests talked about this, is that big, hairy, audacious goals. A vision is a kind of big, hairy, audacious goal that you're trying to achieve, and make them big and make them crazy, like you really want to change the world. You might actually get there. You'll be surprised. It might seem impossible, but just, hey, what the hell is, you've got a creative mind, use it and just see what happens. And actually, when you look at some of the big successes, some of the unicorns, the kind of companies that have, had astronomical success, they started out at the same point. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to achieve. This is what it looks like. Some of them have actually done it. So if one person can do it, or a couple of people do it, you can do it, so write that vision.
And talk about also execution, not just writing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to bring it to life. Yeah. And again, when you've got teams, inspire people to align to it. One of the things I didn't cover here, unfortunately, apologies for that, but it's around reiterating it. Don't just write it and then stick it in a drawer somewhere or stick it into a nice frame in some corner. You have to go back to it and look at it. One of the things I love to when I work with clients is that I love using things like purpose and vision statements to help you make decisions. So all business people, all entrepreneurs and startups have to make tough decisions. So go to your vision and speak to it. It will help you get those answers. So yeah, use it. It's a tool. It's a fantastic tool.
TC, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you very much to IT Labs team for actually arranging this. Very happy that we have you during the Global Entrepreneurship Week. There are many more events. Another one starts in exactly 3 minutes.
Wow.
So to the audience watching us online, happy to have you on and continue with all other events that we have during Global Entrepreneurship Week. We have Access to Finance tomorrow. We have co-working. We have social impact, women in tech. We have a lot of activities with all our partners, more than 60 partners during this week, kind of shedding a light to all the amazing stories that are happening. So it's not just a parallel universe. We are actually making a difference to the world and the economy. Thank you very much and have a great day. We'll continue here with our discussions after this session. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.